Yo, Trev. I mean, this one's bittersweet, but you know what time it is.
Yes, I do. It's showtime, Jay, and it's my last one, man.
Well, maybe. I'm gonna say maybe. I'm gonna keep the line out there just in case, but we'll say for a little while at least until till next time. We'll say it's the last one till next time. So, but we're excited for you, man, and excited for what's next, and I'm excited for our guest today. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
All right, man. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to The Game Plan. Our show is brought to you by Bringing the Heat Media and 4D Leaders. This show is dedicated to using sports to create positive change. So be ready to get inspired, uplifted, and empowered through thought-provoking conversations specific to the world of youth sports with some of the top minds in the game. I'm your co-host, Trevor Rosenthal, MLB All-Star and former single-season save record holder for the St. Louis Cardinals, with Jason Holzer, co-founder of 4D Leaders and best-selling author. Let's go, Jason.
That's right, guys. Well, hey, it's Trevor's last episode as a host, but we also got some things I want to mention before we get started. It's our Rawlings giveaway. Remember, if you subscribe to the 4D Leaders newsletter, I get you an entry into that monthly giveaway, and announcing our 40 Leaders All Sports Camps. We've partnered with Crew Kids Club. And go to crewkidsplay.com. Sign your kid up for those All Sport Camps because they're going to be a ton of fun this summer. So, Trevor, we got my good friend Jimmy Huber, probably one of the best coaches, best people I've ever been around. And excited to explore this crucial topic of leadership development and coaching with Jim.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to be here, and by the way, I'm glad I wore red because I'm in between two St. Louis Cardinals, so kind of feel good about wearing the red today.
Well, as you should, Jim, for sure. Oh,
Yeah, it's we're getting into the swing here of the baseball season. It doesn't. I mean, it's definitely baseball season. But watching the Cardinals in Pittsburgh yesterday, it doesn't seem like it was like 30 degrees and snow flurries. Not ideal baseball weather, but we're getting going. We're getting into the swing of things. It's always nice to have some baseball games to watch on TV. But Jim, it's really great. It's fantastic that you're here with us. Thank you for joining the show. And this is a great topic. It's really at the core of what we talk about here on the Game Plan, and moving a shift in perspective in youth sports from a transactional of what can these players, what can this team do to get points on the scoreboard, to more of a transformational, and how is this experience in through sports going to shape these individuals to be people that are productive in society as a whole. So over the years, I've seen firsthand the incredible impact that a coach can have on young athletes in their lives. But for you, what exactly defines transformational coaching, and how is it different from traditional coaching?
Well, I mean, I think when you look at it, coaching can be a challenging profession because the pressures and things that are placed upon you, maybe you put upon yourself. And a lot of times we coach the way we've been coached, right? And over the years, this traditional type of coaching sometimes becomes, I look at it as more like transactional coaching, right? What can I get from individuals that I'm coaching to maybe we can win championships, we can win medals and trophies. I can maybe look better as myself, right? Through what the players are doing for me. And I think we got to get to the point is back to what really sports is, right? Sports really to me is developed in the sense of helping people become better people through the process of sports. So I think that transformational part is as a coach, I go into it and think about the individuals that I'm coaching, are they truly getting better? Do they become better human beings, better people through what we're going through the season or maybe a couple seasons? Because Trev, this high percentage of kids will quit by the time they're 13, 14, particular sport. So in that process that they were with me, how did I help them become better people, develop skill sets to succeed whatever they do within their life, and to be comfortable knowing that we might not win every game. We might not win every tournament. But we can also, like last night, you're looking at Houston, Florida, right? I mean, Houston were leading like almost 39 minutes of that game, right? The last minute, they fell behind and lost by two. and you listen to them afterwards of how they put in perspective, how they can learn, grow from this, how they can maybe come back stronger from this, become a better people through this challenging experience that they had.
Now, Trevor, you've had a lot of great coaches, all the ways from when you started like playing like as a teenager in 14, right? All the way through your career. Was there certain qualities that a lot of them had that were kind of overarching across the board that you remember, or is there ones that really stick out to you that they did that kind of made them more of a transformational coach to help you get to where you got to?
Oh yeah, I mean I've been so blessed to have some amazing individuals, coaches, mentors in my life, and I think specific qualities. Two things that come to mind would be accountability. Meaning, when I say accountability, meaning that they take responsibility for their actions. If they do something wrong or mess up, they don't just shy away from it and cover it up. They bring it to attention and use it as a learning tool for the group that we're with. And I always appreciated that as a player of understanding, even this older, this more mature person that's in my life, that's the leader here. They're still showing, they're demonstrating through their actions, not just their words, of how they're living their lives and how to continue to learn and get better. And then, the other thing, it kind of goes hand in hand, but is vulnerability. They're not afraid to share stories of their experiences of failure and also success. I think, you can learn from both avenues, and hearing somebody share their story and be vulnerable and not make things seem all good all the time, or there's the other side where some people maybe make things seem all hard and bad all the time too. So just that honesty, the vulnerability, and the accountability, I think those aspects are very critical for anybody in a leadership role, and especially a coach. And to take it one step further, I actually had a really cool experience this morning in talking to my wife Lindsay, where she had an interaction with our oldest daughter this morning. We have an 11-year-old daughter. She's a high-level gymnast. We have a gymnastics competition coming up this weekend. And so you can imagine, as a high-level athlete, the days are kind of ticking down. We got a few more days until this competition comes to fruition. And she's nervous about a skill that she doesn't quite feel comfortable with. And so I was able to pick my wife's brain and how she went about this conversation. And she really just told our daughter, what are you scared of? What's the fear here? And her response was that she had a fear that she was going to let people down if she didn't perform this skill and perform it to the level that she wants to perform it at. And I mean, that's real. We can all relate to that. But my wife had such a great response of, she told her that she shouldn't be worried about what other people are going to think. That she told her this what you're doing, the effort, the work that you're putting in, that's for you. You're not doing it for us. We're, especially as parents, we're proud of you. We're always going to be proud of you. We see what you're doing, and your coaches, they're just, the coaches are there to help you. They're not there to criticize you. They're there to help you along your journey and provide the support in whatever area you may need it. And I think that was such a cool a moment to see that play out firsthand for me and with my daughter. But I think it's a great lesson for all of us to keep that perspective of, hey, whatever we're doing, even as adults, we got to look. We can't be worried about what other people are going to think all the time. It's really comes down to what we're going to be proud of, and when we look ourselves in the mirror.
Yeah, I remember when I first started coaching, it was you try to figure out where's my value as a coach, right? And I know, Jim, you're one to really help me shift my perspective on what does it mean to be a successful coach, right? Because it can be easy to be caught up in like, oh, if I'm winning games, I'm a good coach, right? And that's that transactional piece of it. But as you've gotten to know kids, as you've gotten to work with people, and they come back and they tell you like, hey, because I played for you, I was able to keep playing sports, number one, but also became a better person because of it. And it helped me get through a lot of hard times in life. So, Jim, adopting this transformational approach can be very challenging in our win-at-all-cost mentality culture. So what are some strategies that can help coaches overcome those challenges and be that more of a transformational coach.
Well, I think as you mentioned, you to me, it's like you look at great businesses. They talk about they have what mission statements. They got the core values, right? And I think as a coach, you need to sit down and think about, okay, why are you coaching? All right, first start there, and then when you figure out why you're coaching, then look back and look at what Trevor's talking about. How have I been coached? Okay, what did I like about how I was coached? What didn't I like? Right? And then can I sit there and focus more on the things that I like, that I want more of, and the things that I didn't like, I'm going to attempt to not do those type of things, right? And for me is get that mission statement down, write it out that you can basically, recite it. And it could be like a one sentence, two sentence, whatever, and you can carry in your pocket, right? And then what are the values that you're going to coach with? As you said, is it going to be accountability, empathy, whatever it might be? Like there might be a couple of them, and define what those are. Now, I will say this is when you get into coaching, I'm just telling you, Jason, we talked about this, and I was like this at the beginning. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to look a certain way. If I had a team went out and we didn't play well, we didn't succeed, we got beat, I felt like people were seeing me, and I put so much identity in me as a coach. And if I didn't succeed on the scoreboard, whatever, I thought they were looking at me as like I didn't know what I was doing. I'm a failure, right? And I would then take my frustration out on the kids, right? And a lot of times too is when you get in the heat of the battle, the games, the competition, when things aren't going your way and you reflect more on you, then you start to what? You start to get anxious, right? And you start to get frustrated, angry, and you're coaching from that, right? Those emotions, and those aren't the best emotions to coach from. And we talked about this, Jason, like on our site and the things we have that we give. Like we have this thing called Stay on Par, right? And we develop PAR as an acronym, and we talk about like golf, like being on par. Well, as a coach, can I be on par? P stands for what? We talk about pause. When you're getting emotionally upset, right? You're thinking a certain way and you're feeling a certain way and you're getting upset. Can you pause? Take a deep breath, right? Shifting what you're thinking about to get yourself feeling a certain different way. And then once you're be able to pause, can you assess the situation? What's happening? Right? Okay, where I'm at, what's taking place. Okay, now what do I want to happen moving forward? Okay, and then respond. How am I going to respond in a thoughtful way? Instead of we so much live in an animalistic society, right? It's like we really want to react. And then we react in such a negative way. And a lot of times, how many of us as coaches, after we get done with the game, after practice, driving in our car, we feel bad about what we did? And as coaches, you have to watch what you say because I've done this before. I've said things that I didn't really mean or came across in a certain way that I didn't really mean it to come across that way. That the kid that heard it took it in and got emotionally attached to it, and it's hard for them to let that go. And as well as parents. So I just think you have to really think about again, why are you coaching? What's your mission? What are your values? And what are you doing to regulate your emotions when you're in the heat of a competition and things aren't going your way? Because in life and in sports, you know this, Trevor, you're going to get hit in between the eyes. A 2x4 is coming and it's going to hit you. You think you got a game plan? You got the game plan. We got the game plan, man. We're coming. And in the first minute, we're punched. And it's like, oh, man, this game plan, this ain't working, right? What are you going to do then to be able to shift in a certain way to get your players, your team, your people rowing, staying in that same direction of moving forward and knowing that adversity can be a good thing? Not succeeding can be a good thing because how do you bounce back from that and become better through it? Because that is life, right? We're teaching the life lessons.
Hey, that's so good, Jim. I think um, it, it's so important to have a process, a reminder, like the acronym PAR. That's great. I think everybody should have that really like sticky noted where you can see it every day because it's every day. I mean, I remember. in my baseball career, there was times, I really prided myself in my baseball career on being composed and being level-headed, not showing emotion, no matter which way the outcome's going. I felt like that was going to give me an advantage, and it truly did. But to your point, in the heat of the moment, when things didn't go my way, I would get caught up, and I would get off track, and I would lose my focus, and then things would continue to get even worse. So having like an acronym like that where you can go back to pause, analyze, and then respond. There really can't be a day that goes by where you don't have this mission, this vision for why you're doing what you're doing, because it's too easy. It's human nature. Anger, where anger comes from is when things don't go our way. When I give up the tying run, or when I give up the lead in a baseball game, man, I'm coming off the field and I want to throw a tantrum, and I'm making a fool of myself in the dugout, and that's not helping anybody. So being able to have composure, not just when things are going well, I mean, that's all good and fine, but we all have a tendency, I think, to get pretty mad when it doesn't go the way that we want, and that's going to affect our behavior. It's going to affect our way of thinking, and then there's going to be consequences for that. Some most likely negative consequences that we don't desire.
What do you think about last night in that game, right? Clayton, he's the main guy for Florida, right? And Kelvin Sampson and Houston knew it. They weren't going to let him beat them. They're jamming ball screens. They're hammering it, getting out of his hands. They're being physical with them. They're not letting him get opportunities, easy looks. He struggles in that first half. Even the second half, they come out, and I'll say this with the head coach of Florida, Golden, he adjusted, set a ball screen, started running pin downs, running them off, doing different things that they couldn't trap it. But if you notice, still Clayton gave the dumb foul, shoved the guy on the ground, went to the bench at that point. Florida makes a run with him on the bench, but then he comes back in and he has that reset because the game hasn't went his way. And a lot of players in this situation would check out, would lose themselves. Even coaches at times. Down by 10, down by 11, things aren't going your way. Maybe you're yelling and screaming at the player because they're not doing certain things, but maybe you're not making adjustments as a coach to put your team in a better situation. So again, like you talk about, Trev, how do you sit there and when things aren't going your way? It's easy to be a front runner. Anyone can sit there when games are flowing and it's going good and slapping fives and whatever. But when things aren't going your way and it's a struggle, how do you sit there and handle those situations? Because even you look at Houston against Duke, right? And then Florida against Houston, both teams stayed the course, right? And stayed to the very end and didn't give up and then overcame and succeeded.
Yeah, and when when we respond with this negative emotion, we can all think about a time when we were on the receiving end of that, whether it was our parents, whether it was our coaches, or maybe a boss at work or somebody in a leadership role. The person expressing that, they have the right intentions. They see what's happening and they want it to go a different direction. But oftentimes when you're on the receiving end of it, what do you hear? You hear, "Oh no!" Like you don't hear what the plan is. You just hear like, "This is not going well. Now we need to tense up. We need to freeze. We need to be more cautious." Instead of, to your point, when things are going well and you're high-fiving, there's a fluidity, there's a looseness to the game, and that's ultimately the freedom that winners perform with. So great example from that game last night.
Well, shifting this too a little bit with parents. We talk about. I actually got a chance to talk about some parents on Sunday, and I mentioned the importance of vetting your programs, right? That you want your maybe kid to be involved in, and questions that you should ask a coach, like, hey, what are their values? Like Jim said, what's their playing time philosophy? How does this fit? Because a lot of parents are worried about their kid being on the elite team or the best team, and it might work for your kid, but at the end of the day, like, what's going to be best for your kid? And so, Jim, what are some other things that as parents, maybe you found that program that, okay, this is my program that I want to be in. Okay, here's my coach. How do I progressively as a parent, and coach, that foster that relationship where it's a positive experience for everybody, coach, kid, and parent?
Well, I think first of all, once you figure that out, you got to release your kid to the sport. You got to release them. How many times you see parents in the stands or sitting there coaching their kid, right? I mean, they're yelling and screaming at the kid, do this, do that. I'm like, well, you be quiet. I had a parent the other day. I was dropping my kid off for practice. He's a third grader, and the couple of these dads coached him in basketball, and they know I'm a basketball coach and that type of stuff. And one of them said, "You know what I noticed is kind of weird is you're at games, you don't say anything." And I'm sure you're sitting there having thoughts about what you see, what could be done. I go, well, I have some thoughts, but you're coaching it. Like, I appreciate you doing what you do. My son's there. It's hard enough to play basketball. I just sit there and support him. Now, we might have a conversation at home or something while we're playing basketball in the driveway and talk about things. But I think parents, you got to release them and you got to let them go through processes. That's how life works, right? And the other thing, understand is what are they doing the sport for? Hopefully, they're doing it to maybe have fun, right? To be with like minded friends or peers, right? To get better, but to become better people. Again, my child struggles in games at times. I'm not going to get overly top crazy and all emotional, thinking he's losing a high school opportunity to play or he can't get a college scholarship or can't play professional like Trevor. It's a small percentage as it is. So to me is I'm going to figure out what it is my child wants, provide him that environment, support it, and then again, guide them. When I go to games, a lot of times I'll tell my son, hey, what are you going to go do? Go have fun, man. Right? Give what? Give great effort. Have a positive what? Attitude. Be a good teammate. Right? Be coachable. Have sportsmanship. Make and do the best. Like I said, let all take care of itself. But too many parents are so emotionally tight in games. They're pressured, and the kids pick that stuff up from the stands. Right? And then the kids can't even get removed in the car or outside of it because they're always analyzing what they did. Right? It says, I loved watching you play. All right, let's go do something else. And then when the time's right, when you want to talk to them about something, have a conversation. But also, too, is I'm more going to talk to my kid about if I see he gets a technical, he's not coachable, he's not a good teammate, like certain life skills that I see, that's the stuff I'm going to more address. But this other skill stuff, if he strikes out or whatever, I'm going to get all upset and mad, right? I think we got to be careful as parents how we go about the process of navigating your child in sports.
Well, and to your
Yeah.
point, Jim, kids know when they strike out or when they fail. They already know. Like they're already like maybe disappointed or so trying to help them reframe some of the things like, hey, what were the things that you learned through that process, right? Or how can you be better next time, as opposed to hammering them down even farther because they know when they've messed up. They know whenever they may have disappointed their team. So that's whenever they need just that endless support of just like, hey, I'm here for you. I loved your effort. You're a great teammate, and that's a win in my book, right? And Trevor, I know
Here's
you want
here's
to
a
add on to
here's a
that,
great
but
one for you, Trev. You'll get this. So my son's playing second grade baseball. My dad was a Hall of Fame baseball college coach. Okay, my dad he coached baseball. I played baseball, right? Not at the level you did, but I played in college. Played. So he's playing baseball, and he's got a spoon swing. I mean, he's spooning it down. I mean, he's basically swinging underneath the ball. But my kid, second grader, you can't tell him things sometimes. He thinks he knows, right? So he strikes out like 9 times in a row after like making contact, doing like missing 27 times. And I can tell the parents and people they're like thinking like, man, is the parents gonna say something to that kid? I think the dad, they like was a coach, or the grandfather was a coach. So we'd be in the ride home and wouldn't say a lot, but I get home and hey, Grayson, do you like missing the baseball? You like that? And as if you want, I'll go out and help you. Maybe we're going to do, no, Dad, I know, whatever. So I had to have my wife eventually because she was like, oh my God, we got to do something. The kid won't even listen. So she's like joking around, going, oh, you want to go get some ice cream? Spoon for some ice cream? She's joking around with them and she makes it a game. So he gets frustrated. He finally goes outside and we start working on it outside, wiffle ball, throwing it, pitching, whatever. And he starts working on it. He goes to the next game. He has like 3 hits. But I'm telling you, it's like it's sometimes they gotta like he almost had to go through a journey of striking out 9 times. And honestly, was it hard for me as a parent sitting there looking and watching like, oh my God, the kid's like underneath the ball, he ain't gonna hit it. And then people are like, this guy, man, is he gonna parents gonna help this kid out? But sometimes they got to go through certain things to process, to understand, oh, can you listen? Can you learn? And as a parent, again, I tell my kids all the time, this isn't my journey. This is yours. I've already played sports, went through it. I learned some lessons I wish I could go back, maybe do differently, that I could help you. But again, you're going to do what you do. You're going to work out the way you want. I'll support and guide you, but this is all about you. This isn't me. I mean, if you go out and go 3 for 4, I'm not going to be, oh, that's my son. That's my son, baby. Let's go. Right. And then all of a sudden you go 0 for 4. I'm like, oh, you bum. That guy, and it's ruining my day. I'm like, well, if you spoon swing, you go 0 for 3, and you go 3 for 3, you're still the same kid. And we'll go home, enjoy afterwards, and have a good time in life.
Yeah. I mean, look, like, if you're a parent out there and I mean, you gotta realize, like, this is everybody. Parenting is hard. Like, this is hard. The stuff that we're talking about, it's our natural response, I think, to want to step in and protect our kids and not have them experience the heartaches that we've experienced. I mean, Jim, like, I'm with you. Like, I've been there. I've gone through experiences in life, and I've learned lessons. I wish I could go back and do some things differently, and I certainly would like to help my kids avoid those same mistakes, or avoid the same lessons and heartaches. But it's not really all that possible, and I think, I always go back to, and this is so hard, but I always go back to, I have to. And for parents, I think this is where our focus should be, is we have to take responsibility for ourselves. We can't get so focused on what our kids are doing and trying to, guide their steps every single step of the way. They're watching us and how we're living our lives. I was talking to a friend, a good friend of mine yesterday, and he's been through a hard time as a parent, in his household. When we first became friends, he had a son that was probably about 10 years old. The same age as my oldest daughter right now, and they went through some trials and tribulations. Man, they talk about divorce and separate households, and one thing that he's done over the last 12 years. His son's 22 years old now, and the one thing that he saw is his son, kind of pulling away from him and going down paths that he didn't want his son to go down. And he realized, there wasn't much that he could do other than just continue to live his life in the most exceptional way that he could do, in other words, taking responsibility for himself. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He said it was really hard. There were some times when things weren't going well, but now, at 22 years old, he was recently spending some time with his son, and his son came to him and he said, "You know what, Dad?" He said, I know, things haven't gone exactly the way that you would have liked them to gone, but he's like, I want you to know that I look at the life that you're living, and he's like, I really admire it, and he's like, the way you live your life, he's like, I want that for myself one day. That's my goal, Dad. I see what you're doing, and that's what I desire to have for myself. And it's like I said from the beginning, parenting it's one of the hardest things that we could possibly do. But we just want to serve as an encouragement to all of the parents out there that it's a battle worth fighting for, and it really starts with how we're living our lives.
Hey, going back real quick, Trev, and I'll let you jump in, Jace, is like you said, it's not so much what you say, it's what you do, because they're going to model after you. But one thing is this, Trevor, you really weren't looked at when you were a middle school kid and early high school to be a professional baseball player, right? There were probably kids that were in the sixth, seventh, eighth grade, and at least some around the Kansas City area, that were looked at to be the ones that they're gonna play high level, that were gonna play professional, right? And this is the thing for parents is, don't get caught up in where your kids are at when they're like sixth, seventh grade, that type of stuff. Sometimes transformation takes place later, and you get like a Trevor that maybe it's in later in high school, early college, he starts to blossom. And then he becomes this guy that plays Major League Baseball. And then other kids that were like the ones end up don't make high school or don't play in college, right? And you probably experienced that.
100%. That you're hitting the nail on the head there, Jim. That's That's my story to a T.
Now, the cool thing about Trevor's story too is that he stuck the course with coaches that believed in him, like off season, and you didn't even play varsity baseball for your high school. Is that right, Trevor?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun little side note. Is hey, if you think the high school sports team is so important, well, I'm a living example that it's really not. I didn't play on my high school sports team and went on to play at the highest level. So yeah, don't
Yeah.
put too much value in maybe some things at a young age.
I think the one lesson that I've learned from Trevor's story is that you stick with people that are loyalty. You do the best of where you're at, and your opportunities will come to you. And Trevor was one person I think that made the most of every opportunity that was right in front of him. Whether it was Cali County Community College, single A, double A, he just showed up and made the best of it. So Trevor, man, it's been fun hosting the show with you. Man, I think I've learned so much just from our guests and that kind of stuff too. So I'm excited for you as well in your future endeavors. I know whatever you're going to do is going to be great, man, and looking forward to staying in touch as well.
Oh yeah, we're gonna stay in touch. I mean, Jason, I really value our relationship, and same with Jim. I mean, I've to echo that. I mean, I've learned so much, and I think this platform, the game plan, the conversations that we're having, it's been very critical to my development as a parent, as a youth sports coach and mentor. And I think we got to continue to have these conversations because, I'm just more convinced than ever that transformational coaching is what sports desperately needs. And man, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to continue the game plan show. It's going to be in good hands. But Jim, what do you have? Final message to coaches and parents who are listening? Maybe a call to action to embrace this approach.
Yeah, I just think you got to be open and willing and really self-reflect. I mean, I think self-reflection is the key. And see, like, how is the journey going with your children? How you feel as a parent guiding your child, and even sitting down and having an honest conversation with your child, right? I'll check in with my son, and be like, okay, all right, now 0 to 10, 0 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. How's daddy doing in this? How's daddy? He'll grade me. But whoa, wait a minute. You gave me a 6? Where's the 6 coming from? He'll tell me, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay, what if I do this instead? How about this? And I'm working with him because, as you said, Trevor, you want to make sure you're a parent when your children get ready to leave the house. They're ready to leave the nest. Do they want to come back and see you? Do they want to come back and spend time with you? Or are they coming back because they feel obligated because they have to because of Christmas, Easter, holidays, whatever it is, they have to. I don't want my kids to feel like they have to be, they want to. There's a desire. So I challenge you, and it goes like this. I remember bringing my child home from the hospital, right? And now it's like I got a sixth grader and a third grader. My sixth grader, man, he's going to be high school soon. And it goes quick. So nourish those opportunities and those times and understand you're developing a relationship, not just for now, but that will last for a lifetime. And are you developing your child to become the type of person that you desire them to be? So when they have your grandkids, they're raising them a certain way, so it's going to be beneficial for them as well.
That's a great way to end the show, Jimmy. We got a couple things going on too. Do you want to share any websites where we can get some resources for coaches, for parents? What do we got for you?
Yeah, one thing I do is I go to the youthsportscrisis.com, the youthsportscrisis.com. We put information up there, newsletters. We got information we're putting up for coaches right now. We're getting ready. We'll start putting up information more for parents, but developing free resources in there to really educate and to give, like you said, strategies, how to effectively coach. And a lot of these coaches are parents, right? And so it's something that will help you. And as Trevor said, how do we make youth sports a better place? Better place for coaches, for officials, right? For parents, for the athletes, and make this a better place so we develop better people through it so we become a better world. And youth sports is a place that could do that.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I've learned through our time together is how this is a real important topic. And so I would encourage everybody to check out the website, the youthsportscrisis.com. Any other information, free information that's out there, take some time and go through it. I've been captivated. There's some great content, some great media around some of these topics. But for me, it was something. As my kids have gotten older and gotten to youth sports, I didn't even realize that this was a problem. And I'm guessing most parents in this segment won't recognize it either, because it's so normal. It's so normal to show up to a kid's game and hear parents frustrated, hear parents having conflicts with the coaching, hearing parents having conflicts with the officials. And so when these conversations that we're having, the information that's out there, I mean, it's I think it's important. I think when people see it, I know it's certainly changed my perspective to understand, maybe where we're at, even though it seems normal, this might not be what's best. Just recently at my kid's school, I went to I have a daughter going into middle school, and they had an athletic evening for the parents to give some information around the sports programs. And I was expecting just to see, how do I sign my kid up for volleyball and soccer? And it was really 2 hours of conversation of telling parents how to support their kids and how to have positive relationships with the coaching. And man, it's something that's very real. And so, Jim, I appreciate you pointing that out. I appreciate Jason, Jim, all that you guys do for this topic. It's more important than ever, and it's truly a great opportunity for us to develop our next generation of individuals and humans in this world.
Yeah. Well, also begin sign up for the newsletter at 40leaders.substack.com, and get your kids in our sports camps this summer in the Kansas City area, crewkidsplay.com. Trevor, thank you for your support. It's great having somebody like yourself, just a great person along, supporting us along the way. And leave a review for the show, 5 stars, and we will see you again on the Game Plan Show. Signing off for now.